It should embody the way you move and what you believe. My philosophy gets me out of trouble and helps me solve everything. Marcus Garvey philosophy, where there's a will, there's a way. I love that one. I am a God, the great I am. So you want to make sure whatever you're building it in a robust way to where you're accounting for growth. I built 19 keys in a way where I talk about everything that I want to. I talk about technology, sociology, psychology, philosophy, anatomy, biology. I could talk about sports. I could talk about entertainment, anything. I am not limited. So whatever you see me talking about as a human being, my entity is universal. I wear the universe on my mind. Do not limit yourself in the way you design yourself, because then people will place you in a box, because then you become binary. You're either this or that. But when you are trinary, right? Quinary, finary, that means the box don't exist. That means you can operate the ones, the zeros, the twos, the fives, the nines. You're operating it all. You are a whole being. And we are now in the great quickening of reality where things have sped up. We have 5G and 6G coming. That means your mind has to move faster. So things slow down and it's at a normal pace for you. So consciousness has to be at a super consciousness level. You have to have a super mind today, not a regular mind. A regular mind will be taken over fast. A regular mind is trying to survive out here. Regular mind is not seeing the world that's in his mind. He's seeing the world that's in his sight. I see the world in my mind. And then I make what's in here an alignment of what's out there by learning. Because step one is, if I don't know what to do, I will learn to do. And once I learn what to do, I will execute. If I'm not executing and there's something wrong with me, then I must identify the issue or problem that is causing the pain of procrastination. At one point in time, it was studying. So I didn't know how to learn. I realized that the school system had messed me up. I was a memorizer. And when my memory had failed me, I was smoking weed, I was drinking, didn't know. I studied memorization techniques. I studied diffuse thinking versus focused thinking. And I realized the mind has different states in which it learns. I realized the hierarchy of building a pattern in a web up in your mind, so that as I'm studying something, I might not understand this word. I'm going to go on a tangent, read this word. I'm going to study it, get a reference point. Then I'm going to study the opposition of it, right? So I can get a wholeness understanding. Now, when I read something or I learn something once, I realize maybe I only know 20% of it, and I understood repetition. Then I got to study the root of it. So I'm not studying it from the framework of whoever created it and their spin on it. I need to know the root, which is why I like to study the root of the words. So that's because people will take their emotional reference points from the root of things and they decide what it is. So you're getting an interpretation instead of the root, and the root gives you the power. So number 7, maintain this energy. Consistently participate in the rituals and practices that sustain the energy of the entity. Encourage other members in the community to do the same. Now, if you know, this is what praying is the everyday ritual of religion, right? Working is the everyday religion of entrepreneurship, right? So once you understand that, you know, in life, if you don't have consistencies, you cannot build. You cannot create entities that will be observable in the universe for others to see. But you have to create things to be seen, right? The greatest resources that we have is time, energy, and money. These are the 3 resources that matter the most to people. Everything is energy. If people are going to spend their time and their energy on you and your product and yourself and then give you increments of their value, when a person, and this is a thing that people never understood, people, all you give is money. Money is a person's life. If a person gave all their money away, they'd be giving all the time that they spent on that. They're giving their past away. They're giving their ideas away because that's what they traded for. Money is not just a paper dollar, it's gold. Money can be time. So you have to understand the ability to produce money, the ability to produce power, the ability to produce energy, because that's what we are living in. There is something I want you all to read, which is very powerful. I think I have it in my book. It's called Invisible Weapons, Silent Wars. And then there's another one about the great subversion of society. So Invisible Weapons, Silent Wars, and the great subversion of society. I wish I had time to go over all of them today, but I don't. So both of them really speak about the subversion of society, how they demoralize society. And when society is demoralized, it has to be remoralized, right? Society no longer believes in anything anymore. So when you demoralize, you take away the belief system, right? You take away the morals and the values of a society, and you do that by embedding things into media, into education. And what they say, it takes 14, I think it was 14 to 25 years, because they were talking about creating 2 generations deep. You have to understand that we are already past generations that have been completely subverted. The morals of America and the world have been lost, right? This is why we say, do not shame, do as thou wilt. That is what the devil speaks of, right? Which means that there is no consciousness that keeps you in control of check. There is nothing. There is just you and doing whatever you want to. It is a very dangerous path. So we are a very low consciousness, low moral society. So in order to have control, you have to have high morals, right? You have to instill within yourself values, and the people around you values, insert your entities and whatever you built around you. You have to build up resilience and self-worth, right? Building up a strong, supportive community with knowledge and critical thinking and open-mindedness are the central tenets, right? Education, promoting, a clear and positive understanding of what you believe society normals and reality should be, and how you conjure the team and the people around you, right? So you have to be inspired, and you have to inspire if you want to be a change maker. Inspiration is key, right? The second order act after they demoralize society through education of subversion tactics, which is a real thing that they do, and all governments practices on each other, right? A lot of things that you may see, it may be backed by China or Russia or some other particular state. And America does that by importing its morals and ideas all throughout the world, which is why North Korea and Russia would not allow America, and China would not allow America ideas. They want to allow America TV, because they don't want the demoralization of their society to happen, which brings in destabilization. So now patriotism becomes an all-time low. Now people are resistant to the state and the ideas that was built off these egregores and these entities. Remember, these are rituals. So once you destroy that, now the country does not have a leg to stand on. So stabilization is key. So you have to find and become a stabilizer. So I'm going to give you these 4 if you want to be a change maker. So stabilization, instead of focusing on the negative, seek out the strengths and opportunities in society. Promote economic stability and strength, fortify democratic political systems, and prioritize defense capabilities. Right now, this can be done on the local level, but if you want to promote it at a higher level, this is how you become an influencer of the remoralization of society. The goal here is to create a robust society that is able to withstand external threats and internal rifts, because America is dealing with internal issues and problems. Racism, sexism, bigotry, right? Even though the biggest issues that we face are the thought wars, it is the internal issues, problems, and battles that we go through. And if I had time to break down the nervous system, I would, because the nervous system is where most people have all of their problems at. So I'll give you the example of the lion. If you were in a jungle and all of a sudden a lion walked up, your body from your sympathetic nervous system would send, or your vagus nervous system would send signals throughout your body to tell it to freeze or flight. Now, most likely you go freeze up. Now that lion could be walking towards you, you'd be scared to death. Some people wouldn't move, some people would start running. The flight system would take over. Knowing you can't outrun the lion, you'd be scared. Your whole body would be alive and it'd be sending signals that do not rest, do not calm, do not be relaxed. And there's certain things that your psyche and your mind needs in those states of relaxation, calm, right, and rest. It's where you access different frequencies in different states. It's where Your body is able to learn. It's where you're able to daydream and imagine. It's where you're able to come up with your best ideas. But when your nervous system is hijacked and you're in a state of fear, even if that lion wants to walk away and you was in that jungle, your nervous system is still responding. You still feel like you're about to be attacked. It feels dangerous, right? So that lion could walk away, and your body would still be sending signals that it's not safe because you will still emotionally be there. Somebody can walk up to you and tap you on the shoulder, you jump, because now what you don't deal with on a metaphysical, emotional level becomes physical repression, and it becomes built up in the body, and you can become sick. And this is what's happening to a lot of people today. They're operating off of past emotion, and they can be easily triggered because they have never dealt with it. And your nervous system can consistently send that signal even when the threat is over with, because you're still perceiving the threat emotionally. Now you would never want to go into the woods again. You're scared to death. It couldn't be a lion for another 1,000 miles. You don't know that. You go home and all of a sudden you might hear a damn lion roar and you're jumping out your sleep, because that's the way the body works. So what we have to do is we have to put ourselves in states of rest and calmness. We have to be able to work through and heal ourselves from an internal standpoint. And this is why it's important to go back and rescue that person that was stuck and say, no, it's okay. I'm no longer there. I'm here now. And the only way to become fearless is like, I think it was it David Copperfield or one of them? They was doing a magic trick. And in this magic trick, right, they had to perform a stunt where they had to stand on top of, they had to stand on top of these stilts that were on this building, and they had to stand there for like 3 days. Right. And this person was afraid of heights, right? To the point where it didn't even want to go up to the top of the building. So instead, what he did was he practiced, because he would always make sure that he did things that will evoke his fear on purpose. Right. And so what he would do is he stood on top of he would go to the rooftop little by little every single day. Because when we say fearless, it's not saying there's no fear. It's saying that the fear lessens every single day to where it no longer has emotional control over you. So he would go to the roof of the building and he would get closer to the edge every day. Every single day, he would be able to get a little closer and a little closer to it. Got to the point where the fear was so small, right, that it didn't control his movement. It didn't make him freeze up, right? And he would be able to do the stunt and perform it for 3 days straight, right? So the only way to get over procrastination, the only way to get over fear is action, right? You have to expose yourself to the things that you fear of, because what you fear controls you. It owns you, right? It has power over you, right? So therefore, you have to empower yourself and you have to heal yourself so you have the power over yourself. So now you can't operate and you can't manifest from a place of fear because your systems are frozen. They're not working. So it's when you give yourself rest, relaxation, and calmness. In relationships, people are like that. They're constantly triggered because you are constantly nervous. You're not in a state of rest and relaxation and calm. And so when you are in that state of rest and relaxation and calmness, now you have the ability, right, to utilize your full body systems. Now you can imagine and dream and execute. Now you're no longer frozen by emotions and procrastinate instead. Now you have the ability to use your body full systems. Now you can be in a constant state of flow and execution. Now you're not held back by anything. Now you conquer the lion. And then that becomes your power. right? And you're no longer afraid in the world. You're no longer asking for help because you learned how to help yourself. And that's when you become psychologically whole. That's when your ideas don't get stuck in your head. You're not a person that's constantly fancying your potential, right? But they're living it at all times. So I got Mr. Billy Carson here, and I'm gonna share this picture because I know he about to go in. He about to go in. Hey man, I never thought that 4 hours would seem so short. I never thought that 4 hours would seem so short. I'm over here looking for more time. That is crazy. What is wrong with me, y'all? Let me just share this last picture. Let me pull this up. Whew, I think I talk a lot, y'all. I think I'm finally realizing it. Okay. And I'm gonna let Mr. Billy Carson take over. Okay. All right, there we go. I just wanted to share this picture. Can you see it? Your mic is off.
Yeah, I can see it.
So this is the man who conquered the fears. Right? This is the man who was once afraid. He was a little boy at first. He was stuck in the jungle. You know what I'm saying? He was repressed by all of the things that was holding him back. And then he grabbed his power and he went back and he conquered it. And now he uses that power. Right now, he can use all of the things that he went through, the things that used to cause him fear. Now he controls that lion. Right now, he controls the jungle. And now he has nothing but forward to look forward to. He doesn't have to look back in the past. He's not stuck by those emotions. He is in a state of calmness. Look at his face. It is relaxed. Now he can think. There's no anxiety there. He's not afraid that the lions are there because he's conquered them. He's gained dominion and control over all things. And the super mind has that ability to control. We are an evolved species. And once you learn how to control, conjure, manufacture your reality, understand your cycles, your rhythms, how to heal, personalize your connections, and customize who you are as a God, you have the power to walk outside with your stomach out, head up, renewed. And as you breathe, you're reinvigorating your new self, not giving life to your old self. You're bringing in your new self. And now when people are talking to you, they like, why you got so much damn confidence? Why you always so excited? Why you always got so much money? Why you always networking? Why you always traveling? You need them to be questioning your growth because they see it always happening till it gets to the point where, damn it, they want it too. So you have to go with that power and grab it and say, fuck the fear. Conquer the lion. Gain your power. Develop your supermind. That's 4 hours and 19 keys.
Hey, man. Hey, give 19 keys a hand, everyone. Phenomenal. A lot of great comments in the chat. Incredible comments. Thank you, Keys, man. That was amazing. I'm going to take it over from here. I'm going to give everybody a 15-minute break to grab a quick snack, use the restroom, and then come back, and we're going to ride out the rest of the day. It's going to be an amazing day, man. So, hey, peace, God, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on here. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, man. This was fun. When you said that we was going to do 4 hours separately, I said, damn, I thought we was going to do back and forth at first. And now I realized I could literally probably go a 24-hour marathon just teaching.
Oh, yeah. This is why, I always go so many hours because, it's just once you get in the flow state, then time disappears. It doesn't even exist anymore,
Talk about it. Yep. Well, I'm excited. Thank you for having me. I look forward to doing more. This has been beautiful. Peace, family.
Man.
Continue to tap into our higher selves.
All right. Peace. I'll catch you later.
All right.
All right. That was 19 keys, the first 4 hours of the Unlocking Your Supermind Code. So this is going to be an amazing day. I'm getting ready to go in. I hope you guys can refresh yourself and get some energy and come back on here. we're going to give you approximately 10 to 15 minutes to just grab a snack, use the restroom, stretch your legs, get some blood flowing, because I'm going to need that brain working, because I'm getting ready to come in and I'm going all the way in. I'm coming with some real codes that I created that are already in the body, but these are codes that I've recognized, and now I've isolated them. And so we're going to go talk about those on the second half of this workshop. All right, so I'm going to put on this timer. It's going to loop twice, or maybe I might just put on actually I'm going to put on the meditation, the primordial Om. Let me tell you why I like this primordial Om before I put it on. You probably saw that when 19 Keys had to take a break earlier, I put the Om up there, right? The Om, the symbol itself is actually not a letter. It's actually a complete ideology. It's a complete understanding. The symbol, you've probably seen it, looks like a 3 with a hash and a little squiggly line at the end. It's the primordial sound of cymatics, of the creation of the universe itself and everything that exists within it. And so the word Om itself is a powerful sound. The power lies within us. So Om lies within us. It's within every vibrating atom in our body. And it helps us to discover the inner strength that lies within all of us. Om is the first sound of the universe. Remember in the Bible, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was sound. You can call it God, but sound is the vibration and the frequency that allows life to exist and permeate the entire universe. The ancients knew this millennia before the biblical text even existed. It's the wave that was produced at the time of creation of the universe. According to Chanda Yoga Upanishad, Om is Brahma, the timeless consciousness. It is inhibited by the Trinity. When you meditate Om, all your conflicts and inner turmoil disappear. In Jainism, Om occupies a vital place as the remover of all sins. You see, you can forgive yourself by chanting Om, not waiting on an outside source to forgive you. You can forgive yourself. Its essence carries magic that can free your mind from material conditioning. It is not a word. It is an intonation which is beyond the barricades of age, race, or culture. It's an incredible, incredible thing. So I'm going to play this Om, and I'm going to loop it a couple times, give you guys 15 minutes. We'll be back here approximately around 3:15, and we're going to start part 2 of the Supermind, Unlocking Your Supermind Code workshop. All right? It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to this. I've been looking forward to this. So here right, we are back. Let me check the live chat. See who's in here right now before we continue to proceed with this. Make sure as many people are back as possible. Okay, peace unto you, 77. What's happening? You made it. I'm here. J Ty, right, giving thanks to 19 Keys. Benjamin, Isaiah, Jose Gonzalez. All right. Yvonne Pickett. Back in the game. There we go. Let's start part 2. All right, part 2 right now coming up. And 19 Keys brought up a couple of really, really good points that I also probably am going to expound on a little bit here in this second half of the workshop. Don't forget, you can replay this unlimited amounts of times on this same exact link. Unlimited. Anytime you want, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, once we end this live stream video, this live stream workshop, it will take approximately 2 hours, maybe 3 hours before the video completely renders and saves so that you can play it. Until then, when we end this, there'll be a slight period in time where it will just say off air, but that doesn't mean it's not coming back. It just means it's rendering. And within 2 to 3 hours, the replay is automatically active. Just in case you go back and you go, oh man, I can't see it. How come it's not playing? Because we get a lot of emails at the end of these. It's just because the video is rendering. It takes a couple hours sometimes 3 at the max, especially when we do a long video like this. If it was only like a 1 or 2 hour video, it'd be very quick. We do these 7, 8 hour classes. It's a lot of gigabytes of data, and the system renders it, all right, and saves it permanently on the same exact link automatically. So don't worry if you come back and you click on it to watch it again right after, I get done, and you go, oh, I can't see it. It just takes a couple of hours. So if I end this thing around 6:45, 7, you're probably going to see it around 9, 10, 10:30, 11, somewhere in that range. All right. Just to give you a heads up on that. All right, cool. Now let's proceed here. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure that everyone attends the Forbidden Conscious Awards. All right. This is vitally, vitally important that we attend the Forbidden Conscious Awards. Let me see if I can make this a little bit different. Here we go. This is where I want to hear. The Forbidden Conscious Awards, please. This is an amazing event. You must be there in person. There's about, 100 or so seats left. It's a huge, huge theater. I mean, there's a lot of seats. We really want to make a huge impact by having as many people show up to this very first one that we can ever bring, because we have the mainstream news coming to this event. We have an NBC affiliate coming to this event. They want to find out what in the world is going on. A conscious award? What is this? They want to know what, who, where, why, how. What is this all about? How do these people afford to rent out this venue? Because this venue is only for like extremely high level project. Well, this is a high level project, a high level ceremony. And we're going to be giving away awards to people that deserve it in 12 amazing categories. I'll also be speaking that night. So if you want to come see me speak, you want to be there in the house. We're also going to give away an Audi A4 for Forbidden Knowledge live at the actual event. But you have to be in the actual audience. And we're going to select a random person from the audience who will win the car. It'll be parked right at the venue with a big bow on top. As you walk into the venue, you're going to see the car. It will be there at the Conscious Awards venue. So it's going to be an amazing night. Red carpet. You'll walk the red carpet, take pictures with me. If you have my book, bring it with you so I can autograph it on the spot. We'll take photos. If you get a box seat or a box section, which has 8 seats in it, you automatically get access to the VIP pre-event mixer with all the celebrities, or you can actually order a VIP ticket if you don't want a box, and you can still attend that VIP mixer. Also, if you have a company or a business corporation and you want to become a sponsor of the Conscious Awards, please email business@ forbiddenknowledge.com. That's business at forbiddenknowledge with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.com. And we will definitely send you out a pitch deck and show you everything that you get for your sponsorship dollars. It's really an amazing sponsorship package, and you get live commercials during this massive event. Okay, there'll be over 1,000 people in there. So you get some great exposure, plus to the people that we're streaming to worldwide. So if you want to be a sponsor, make sure you contact us. If you want to buy tickets to the event, use that QR code on the screen and make sure you get your tickets, and make sure you also vote for the nominees and the winners. So there's nominees on that link. When you get that scan, when you scan that QR code, it'll take you to the website. That website will then give you the opportunity to vote for more people. In other words, there's 3 top nominees in each category. You can help pick the winner. You can also, at the bottom of that page, get your tickets to the award show and come see us in Miami, July 30th, 2023. I want to see you guys there. As a matter of fact, if there's anybody here now in the live comments, comment if you're going to be at the Conscious Awards. Let me know if you're going to be there. I want to see how many people are saying that they're going to be at the Forbidden Conscious Awards, first annual. We're going to have the mainstream media. We're going to have live performances by Havoc from Mobb Deep, Dame Dash, myself, Billy Carson, Donnie Arcade, Cruz, Kambada, Black Magic 363, Richard Merritt. It's going to be amazing. And we have Chris Spencer hosting the event, a worldwide famous comedian and also writer and actor. So it's going to be incredible. He's already done a lot of these varying award shows, MTV, BET. He's done, he's written for the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys. I mean, this is what he does. And he's doing our show. And he has some of his celebrity friends coming along as well. So it's going to be a great night, a night to remember on a high-level event that's honoring people that are putting in the work. And I feel that this event is going to give people an opportunity to try to step their game up in their efforts to enlighten the world, and in hopes of maybe one day achieving some recognition of an award. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think you'll see that people will be working harder and smarter and better, trying to find ways to get their message out and teach and train and do workshops and classes and whatever else it is that they actually do, so that people, so they may have a chance to even get nominated, which will be a huge honor. All right. So I see a few people like Brianna Simone says she's going to be there. Diane says she's going to be there. All right. I see people in the chat. Charles Boone Jr. says, I want to go. All right. All right. So we got people down here that are saying Michelle. Okay. A lot of people are coming. All right. Nicole Golson. All right. Myra Ortiz. We got a lot of women showing up. The men better represent. The women are taking care of business out here. Okay. The women are taking care of business. All right. Here we go. Jedi Hairston says, I already got my ticket. All right. Isaiah says AAA. Isaiah's Audi A4. Isaiah is claiming that A4 Audi. All right, cool. So anyway, make sure you guys, like I said, click that QR code, vote, and get your ticket. Come down to the Conscious Awards. I always, anytime I do a workshop or a class, whoever's been in my classes before, you guys know that I get my shameless plugs out of the way in the beginning, because I always run out of time at the end. But this is a very important part of what we do, raising money for kids. And this year, we're raffling off Elizabeth's Mercedes-Benz AMG, and we're donating a portion of the proceeds to communities and schools who will actually be a representative from their board, will be at the actual Forbidden Conscious Awards and will be on stage speaking. And you'll see a video from some of the kids that you all have helped put money, food, clothing, and books and tutors out for them. So anyone who's given any kind of chat donations through YouTube or Instagram lives or whatever, you've actually helped these kids, and they're gonna be, there'll be a video clip playing that night, and one of the board members will be on stage talking about it. And so if you get a raffle ticket, you could potentially win this car, and at the worst case scenario, you're helping a child. So you can't lose. This is a no-lose raffle, period. It's a no-lose raffle. It's positive karma, and possibly positive karma and a car. So you can't lose there. All right. So that's the QR code right there. Make sure you scan it. If you want to get a raffle ticket, the raffle will be ending pretty soon. Of course, I got my book, Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, still a bestseller in 5 countries. It's now in all countries worldwide that sell books. And it's usually in the top 100 pretty much almost everywhere. Right now, it's still #1 in America and has been holding that position for quite some time now. My second book, Woke Doesn't Mean Broke, is a financial literacy book, and it's a bestseller now in 4 countries. And so it's an amazing book. It's talking about being conscious, but also understanding how to navigate the financial matrix. In this workshop, I will be talking about finances briefly, because it's part of unlocking your Supermind codes is understanding how to navigate the financial matrix. And I'm going to have a couple of solutions for you that I highly recommend that you use during this workshop. Elizabeth's book, The Recipe to Elevated Consciousness, also made the bestsellers list. It's an amazing book. If you're struggling from trauma, addiction, depression, and anything else, and you're trying to find out how do you find your way back? How do you find your way back out of this deep, dark hole? She will show you. She gives you the exact recipe that she herself used to rescue and save herself, and the tools that she used to do it. It's an incredible book. Just go to Amazon.com and read all of the reviews and the personal testimonies of people who actually read this book, and you'll see what I'm talking about. You need to give this book as a gift to anyone that you know that's struggling with any type of addiction, alcoholism, depression, or any other issue or problem that's holding them back. Give them a copy of this book. It'll save their life. There's the QR code for The Recipe to Elevated Consciousness. Also, don't forget, we have our own social media app, Unite the 99. It's a free app on iOS App Store for Apple devices and Google Play for Android devices. Just go to your app store and make sure you get the Unite the 99 social media app. No algorithms. Your post shows up in the order it was posted. We have groups, we have lives, we have everything else. You can post links. Go ahead and get on the Unite the 99 app and start sharing your content in the way it was meant to be shared, without any type of suppression or oppression whatsoever. And lastly, I want to say, of course, get the Forbidden Knowledge TV service, 4bk.tv on the web, or you can go on Apple, the Apple TV, you can go on the Roku, the Samsung TV, Amazon Fire TV. Of course, like I say, the web at 4bk.tv. And you can also watch it there. Right now, you're watching Forbidden Knowledge TV. If you're looking at me right now and listening to this lecture, you're watching Forbidden Knowledge TV. You're on it already, all right? But you need a subscription to watch all the thousands of shows that are up there. So get a subscription. It's only $7. Get yourself a 7-day free trial and see if you like it. If you like it, keep it. If you don't, you don't have to, all right? There's no contracts. All right, let's get into it now. Let's get into some science. Let's get into some real science. You can see here the scan of the brain. And I'll be talking about the brain and the mind a lot, because the brain and the mind is what this whole workshop is about, isn't it? Supermind Codes. The mind. The mind is all. That's one of the first principles in Kemetic principles, or some people call it the Hermetic principles, which came much later. We're talking about the source, the main source of everything is the mind. And the mind inside of your avatar body is just a fractal of the universal consciousness. What happens inside of your head is happening on a massive universal scale. And we're going to show you how that works today. I want to give you a complete understanding of a lot of things about the mind and consciousness, so that I can help you bring awareness to what's going on and how things operate, so that you can now navigate much better. When you don't know how things work, then you're kind of foggy as to how the outcome will be, right? So for example, if you don't know, if you didn't memorize your timetables and somebody said, what's 2 times 2? And you don't know that it's 4, you might start guessing, you might start having to do math in your head and trying to figure it out. But if you know how to solve the problem, if you know why 2 times 2 equals 4, now it's a totally different perspective. A lot of people are taught to memorize answers. 19 Keys even touched on this earlier. He became a good person, a good memory master, the ability to memorize answers instead of knowing how to solve the problem. There's a difference between solving problems and memorizing answers. And when you only know how to memorize answers and you don't know how to solve problems, it creates a situation where things don't seem as clear as they should be. And a lot of the times you're just guessing. When you're living from a state of mind of only guessing or regurgitating what you memorized, it puts you in a position of weakness, not power. You see? There's a lot of adults today that I can walk up to and I can tell them, I can say to them, and let me come back up on full screen for a second because this is important. I want to say this clearly. I can say to them, hey, what's 12 times 12? And they'll give me the answer. All right. And I'll say, okay, you know what that is. Now, why is 12 times 12 144? Why is it? Like, why is that the answer? Now they have to think. Why do they have to think? Because 99% of people have memorized the answer to their multiplication tables. They memorized it. All right. But they never was really taught how to solve it. They give you this sheet with this cube with the numbers going across this way, down and across, and the answers. And all you do is look at it for a few hours a day and say it out loud. And the next thing you know all the answers. But in true reality, you don't know how to solve the problem. This is the state of the world we live in today. Kids in school are taught to just memorize answers on tests. They're taught the schools punish if they don't get good scores on different types of state required exams and tests. So the school focuses all year long on teaching kids how to memorize and regurgitate answers versus teaching them how to solve real problems. That's the state of the world we live in today. And this is a huge situation that's causing a lot of people to become stagnant and lost and stuck and basically, living outside of their purpose, completely oblivious to what's really going on, not understanding the reality that we live in and how it operates from behind the veil. Right? So that's what I like to do. I want to go and teach you some of the things that you need to understand about yourself and how your body's operating, how your mind is operating, just so you can have a basic understanding as to what's really going on beyond the veil. So as you begin to go through some of the things that you'll learn today, you might be able to begin to see some of these processes occurring, not only with this, but other things that you'll apply it to within your life. Let's look back at this again. Crystal magnetite in the human brain. Your brain has billions of magnetite crystals inside of it. Billions. No wonder why human beings are really drawn to crystals, and we love crystals, and we are so enamored by crystals, and we want to have them around us, and we want them in our house for decoration, and we want to put them by our bedside. And we are crystals too. Crystals are just a fractal of what's already inside the human body. We know that the pineal gland is made of crystals, and the brain itself has billions of magnetite crystals as well. Pretty interesting. As a matter of fact, we should be able to sense the Earth's magnetic field and navigate without GPS. Just like birds who flock south for the winter, turtles come and re-nest at the beach where they were born, right? All these incredible things that are done. How whales navigate the ocean, how dolphin pods navigate the ocean. It's all based on magnetic fields. They're using magnetite crystals to do that. Why can't we sense it? Well, we actually can. We've been disconnected from the feeling of the sensory perception of our magnetite crystals. And how do we know this is true? They took a person and put him inside of a laboratory with a gigantic bar magnet. They put a cap on his head with sensors on it to read the brainwave activity. And then they began to move this bar magnet all around the room. And guess what happened? the magnetite crystals in his brain began to orient themselves to the magnetic field. He was completely oblivious to this happening. He couldn't sense it or feel it, but his brain knew it was happening. More proof that in some way we have been disconnected from our natural capabilities that are already innately inside of us right now. These things are happening inside of us, right? And so we have to come to the understanding that, wow, wait a minute, what's going on here? We have this ability, it's built into us, and I don't even know about it. I don't even know it exists. I can't feel it. I have no way of knowing. Well, it's there. You see, over many eons, we've been gradually disconnected from all of our true powers that are built into this avatar body. This avatar body has supernatural powers. And because of the systems and the programming codes that they put into us, it has caused a disconnection to occur and to happen. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up this magnetite crystals to help you understand the importance of it, because it works along with something else inside the human brain. It works along with something called the neural correlates of consciousness. These are 3 giant neurons that wrap around the inside of the skull, and it looks like a crown of thorns. Looks like a crown of thorns. Sound familiar? Sounds like the story of Jesus in the Bible when they put the crown of thorns on his head. As I sip my tea, right? More like a metaphor the biblical text was referencing when they talked about the crown of thorns. The crown of thorns, or this neural correlates of consciousness, works in collaboration with the magnetite crystals and also this part of your brain here, the claustrum. These neurons connect to the claustrum. The claustrum is like the conductor of an orchestra. It coordinates inputs and outputs, which then helps to download consciousness. You hear that? Downloads it. You see, the human brain doesn't create consciousness. It downloads consciousness. If you were thinking that consciousness was oriented inside of your head, that this is where it began, you've been wrong this entire time. You're not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts, because you are not a local being. Your spiritual energy is not local to this body. It inhabits the body temporally, in time, temporal. But the source is a beam that's entering in and consistently streaming into this avatar on a consistent basis, 365 days a year, 24/7. The claustrum, the neural correlates of consciousness, and the magnetite crystals work together to encapsulate for a temporary amount of time your spirit and hold it inside this avatar so that you may animate it until the avatar itself expires. That's what's going on. You are not here. You arrived here on a beam. A beam of what? A beam of light. If you could see in other frequencies of light, you'd be able to look at someone and you'd be able to see a beam that looks like it's coming out of their head, but it's actually not coming out. It's going in. That beam is being transmitted from a higher realm at a specific frequency attuned to each individual's avatar body. And your avatar body picks up that beam and that frequency, and then it becomes the illusion of you. That's how it works. Deep inside the brain, you then have the pineal gland. I notice that when I post images like this on social media, I'll see people telling me, oh, you're talking about the all-seeing eye and this is the Illuminati. And I have a tie that has the image of the Eye of Horus on it, which is up here. And, this guy posted, he commented on my YouTube account, this is Illuminati stuff. Why are you wearing the all-seeing eye and blah, 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 blah. No, This is not the all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye is the eye of providence, which is what you see on the dollar bill and so forth. This is the eye of Horus, which is a totally different concept. This is a cross-cut section of the human brain. When you cut a brain in half and you open it up and pull the hemispheres apart and look at them like this, you will see this image, the eye of Ra and the eye of Horus. One's on this one side, one's on the other side. It's the location of the pineal gland deep inside the human brain, which has photoreceptors, but doesn't actually see the light. But it responds to light. It's your spiritual antenna, and it's made of crystals. So we know now that we have a few things. We have our pineal gland, which is our spiritual antenna, which picks up the frequency. We have our claustrum, which is the conductor of the orchestra. We have our neural correlates of consciousness, which works in collaboration with the magnetite crystals to encapsulate and hold in the energy so that you can animate this body for a particular period of time, temporally. And that's how you navigate through this matrix. It's all based on a system that's developed that allows you to animate an avatar body from a beam of light coming from higher dimensions. That's what I'm talking about. In the comments, let me see who's understanding. Let me see who's getting this in the comments. If you're getting this in the comments, let me see a response here. Let me see what you've got to say. Brianna Simone says that's wild. Let me see what you guys are talking about here in the comments. Elissa Sunshine says, so interesting. I recently had vertigo and was told that I had loose crystals in my ears that needed to be repositioned. That's accurate. Dean Henry says, I love you, Billy Carson. Thank you. Michelle N says, taking screenshots. Okay, you guys are paying attention. I'm just glad. Because I don't have my live chat working. I have to keep going back and checking the chat over here. Dad says, yes, brother. Brianna says, I'm getting this. Okay, great. This is good. This is good. Just want to make sure. All right, this is really, really important stuff. Again, you see the eye of Horus. You see also the falcon. What's interesting is I remember an ancient sage, a wisdom keeper, was asking a group that I was with out in the field doing research. And we got to talking about our spirit animals. And he said that I'm going to teach you how to find your spirit animal. So we did a meditation. And then he asked everyone right after the meditation to name an animal right now. And so I said falcon. That same question was recently asked to me again just a few months ago by Dr. B. Sirius, and of course I picked the falcon again, but that's how I picked my spirit animal. And the spirit animal is part of this structure of the human brain that's connected to the eye of Horus, which is pretty interesting. I just thought it was pretty interesting that that was the animal that I chose. But what's really incredible is the spirit animal is just really an extension of you. It's not really an animal. It's really you in an anthropomorphic shape or style, a metaphor, but it's an extension of you that guides yourself. All right. It's nothing outside of you. It still is you. It just gives your brain a different way to focus and understand and conceptualize this guidance that's occurring. But it's really you guiding yourself from a higher dimension. You become your own spirit animal, which is why the animal selects you and you select it. All right. So it's a very, very sensitive thing. What's interesting about this, though, is as I was talking for the last 10 years about the mind and the brain and how it connects to higher dimensions, and that this beam of light, this consciousness is streaming from higher dimensions and connecting to us, people would say that I was crazy, I was a whack job, I was a tinfoil wearing hat pseudoscientist. And I mean, the comments, you guys have probably all seen some of the comments over the years. Whoever's been following for a long time, you've seen some pretty brutal stuff. I've even had scientists contact me and tell me that they were pissed off and that was ruining, real scientists' careers, and that what I was saying was blah blah blah. It's just so much. Of course, even if I've had death threats. But guess what happened here? Look at this. Just last year in 2022, peer-reviewed science now, and this article is from sciencealert.com. It's made mainstream global news. This brain model was produced by a team of researchers from the Blue. That's a huge brain research facility. They have the top brain scientists in the world and neuroscientists in the world. Last year, neuroscientists used a classic branch of maths in a totally new way to peer into the structure of our brains. What they discovered is that the brain is full of multi-dimensional geometrical structures operating in as many as what? 11 dimensions. Just as I've been saying all these years. Go back down my Instagram feed. Go back to my old workshops. I've been saying this for so long. Not even funny. Why 11 dimensions? Because the universe is 11 dimensions. And I'm going to show you some more information about that shortly. We're used to thinking of the world from a 3D perspective, so this may sound a bit tricky, but the results of this study could be the next major step in understanding the fabric of the human brain, the most complex structure that we know of. This brain model was produced by a team of researchers from the Blue Brain Project, a Swiss research initiative devoted to building a supercomputer-powered reconstruction of the human brain. The team used an algebraic topology, a branch of mathematics used to describe the properties of objects in spaces regardless of how they change shape. They found that groups of neurons connect into cliques, and the number of neurons in a clique would lead to its size as a high-dimensional geometric object, a mathematical dimensional concept, not a space-time one. Pretty interesting that this comes out of sciencealert.com, peer-reviewed science that is now global news. Global news. Let's take a look at what Michio Kaku has to say. Let's take a quick look here at Michio Kaku and see what he has to say about the dimensions of the universe. He's obviously one of the world's leaders in quantum physics. Here's a clip of me talking on a podcast about this recently. Hang tight. So I dug real deep into it, and I got to the understanding that we're living in a multi-dimensional universe, and there's at least 11 dimensions. Otherwise, the universe would collapse. Each dimension is a 90-degree angle right above the next one, compactified. So they're sitting right on top of us. So within less than a Planck unit of space above you, there's another dimension that actually exists with a whole nother universe happening simultaneously while we're sitting right here. Wild.
That's hard to fathom. It's hard to fathom. So right here where we're sitting right now, there's a whole nother dimension of a whole nother universe happening, life taking place.
Yes.
Right in the same space that we are.
Right here where we are. Right here. Vast too, vast. Just as vast as ours is vast. And from higher dimensions, they experience time differently. Time really doesn't exist. The past, present, and the future happen all at once. So somebody, for example, from the fifth dimension would look at us and they'd be able to see us. Imagine us in this building here, but imagine when I first walked in, and imagine us in here, and imagine me like in the bathroom or something. They'd be able to see us in all the different rooms. The different rooms will represent different time frames of existence within this structure. So they can see the past, present, and future at the same time. So it's pretty cool. Weird stuff starts happening the higher the dimensions you go.
So
like I said before, again, we're talking about multidimensionality. We're talking about the brain connecting to higher dimensions. This is important to understand before we get into some of these codes. It's really important for you to grasp that you're not just here in the third dimension with the brain in the third dimension, thinking in the third dimension. That's the illusion that they want you to believe. That's the limiting belief system that they put on you. The fact of the matter is, you are a multidimensional being that's inhabiting a three-dimensional body, but you still have multidimensional capabilities and powers. That's the part that we're all missing. And when you come to understand this, everything opens up for you. Life becomes so easy because you begin to see through everything. You now know how things are operating and working. You sense your powers and your abilities. You understand when you're connecting to higher realms and higher dimensions because you now brought awareness to it. When I went to see Dr. Amen for my brain injury that I had from a car accident in my early 20s. He showed me a brain scan. That brain scan showed dimples, gigantic dimples right here on the top of my head, which is numb. I have no feeling here from the car accident. I was ejected from through a front windshield. I was in the car with no seatbelt on. Back then, there were no seatbelt laws. And we're talking about the early 1990s, and no seatbelt laws. And I was sleeping in the passenger seat. My friend crashed. I went through the front windshield over the car that we hit, and then rolled down into the embankment. Blood was squirting out of my eye. My eye had, this whole eyelid was ripped off. And it's what they call a starburst incision. But they gave me a brain injury right here. And also because my brain sloshed around in my skull, it made a hole where the bone is in the back of the skull. Inside, the brain got punctured by that and made a hole directly in the back of my brain. Fortunately for me, there was no damage to this part of the brain, which is like the most important part, like for understanding, knowledge, wisdom, memory retention, and all that kind of stuff. But my navigation center, this is where my navigation center is located. I would get lost everywhere I went. Everywhere I go, I would get lost in my own house. Can you imagine getting lost in your house? Finally, after decades, Elizabeth got me an appointment with Dr. Daniel Amen, who's the world's number one psychiatrist. He's done thousands of SPECT scans, tens of thousands, I even believe, potentially. But in that scan, we saw what the problem was. Now, what I was taught and learned that day, the first part of my healing process for this brain injury was being able to see my brain and being able to see where that injury was, and that was the cause of my issue with navigation. You see, I didn't connect the car accident to the navigation problem. I thought I was just losing it in some kind of weird way, and I don't know why I was getting lost. I couldn't even take an elevator. When I get off an elevator, I walk back in, I'd walk left to right. I'd take parking garages to the top floor when I was trying to leave the parking garage. That's why I gave up driving. I was like, I drive sparingly because at the time I was like, I can't keep doing this. I'm going the wrong way. I'm getting lost everywhere I go. And so I had to get a full-time driver, right? And I wouldn't drive unless if it was a less than a 30-minute drive, I would do it. But if it was more than that, I wouldn't go. And so the awareness was, now I see my problem has been physical this entire time. It's a physical problem, not a mental problem. And then that cleared some space in my brain because it was causing me dis-ease, which was going to give me disease. Then I was able to bring awareness to the location through conscious thought. I could see where the injury is now. I can see where there's a lack of blood flow in my brain causing me not to be able to remember where the hell I am. I was told by the doctor, day number 1 of healing starts today. Awareness. Awareness is the first day you start to progress. Awareness that you're a multi-dimensional being. Awareness that your spirit is being temporally encapsulated into this avatar and is beaming in as a beam of light coming from a higher dimension. Awareness that your consciousness connects to 11 dimensions and that the universe is 11-dimensional. That kind of awareness gives you power. It gives you power. And that's why it's important for me to show this to you. Let's listen to this for a
Andre, we believe, though we cannot yet prove, that our multiverse of universes is 11-dimensional. So think of this 11-dimensional arena. And in this arena, there are bubbles that float. And the skin of the bubble represents an entire universe. So we're like flies trapped on flypaper. We're on the skin of a bubble. It's a 3-dimensional bubble. The 3-dimensional bubble is expanding. And that's called the Big Bang Theory. And sometimes these bubbles can bump into each other. Sometimes they can split apart. And that, we think, is the Big Bang. So we even have a theory of the Big Bang itself. Now you ask a question, what about the dimensions of each bubble? Well, in string theory, which is what I do for a living, that's my day job, in string theory, we can have bubbles of different dimensions. The highest dimension is 11. You cannot go beyond 11 because universes become unstable beyond 11. If I write down the theory of a 13, 15-dimensional universe, it's unstable, and it collapses down to an 11-dimensional universe. But within 11 dimensions, you can have bubbles that are 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional. These are membranes. So for short, we call them brains. So these branes can exist in different dimensions. And let's say P represents the dimension of each bubble. So we call them P-branes. So a P-brane is a universe in different dimensions floating in a much larger arena. And this larger arena is the hyperspace that I talked about originally. Also remember that each bubble vibrates, and each bubble vibrating creates music. The music of these membranes is the subatomic particles. Each subatomic particle represents a note on a vibrating string or vibrating membranes. So believe it or not, we now have a candidate for the mind of God that Albert Einstein wrote about for the last 30 years of his life. The mind of God in this picture would be cosmic music resonating throughout 11-dimensional hyperspace.
So I hope you're starting to get the big picture here before I start going into some more of these codes. I'm going to get into the codes, but I like to paint the picture. I want to set the stage, so to speak. I want to get your mind ready as to understanding what's going on, behind the veil. And behind the veil just means the area in which you can't just perceive through your natural 5-sensory perception. There's a lot going on. There's so much going on a consistent basis, most of which we're oblivious to it, right? But it's happening. Nonetheless, it's actually happening. Very important. Let's get into the mind and the consciousness here. There's a video clip that I want to play. Let me see if I have it loaded up here. Let's see. It's an EEG. Let's check this out.
I chose to be here. This was my choice. At least, I think it was. Most of you will believe that you chose to watch this video.
We do worry about manipulation by the media and by advertising and by other people and so on.
You freely willed it.
What is the degree of freedom that you give to the definition of free will?
Our choices define us.
So if that's what we're talking about, then we don't have free will.
But reality may not be so simple.
There you go.
In the early 80s, Benjamin Libet designed an elegant experiment to help us understand the mechanism of decision-making in the brain. This is the Libet experiment. All I have to do is watch the spinning dot and click a button whenever I feel like it, then report to the scientist at what time I felt the urge to click. Meanwhile, my brain activity is being monitored. Most of us would assume that our choices register as an increase in brain activity and result in us clicking the button. But what's actually observed is a build-up of brain activity, called the readiness potential, a full second earlier than the conscious urge to click. This has been replicated hundreds of times.
What are the implications of this kind of experiment?
So the folk definition of free will is that your mind controls your body, meaning that your mind is free to decide what to do and send the command to your body. But when you consider the Libet experiment, it means that conscious intentions, instead of being the cause of motor preparation, is the consequence of an antecedent brain activity. So it challenges this dualistic view of mind-body causation.
And so in my group, we've gone back and redone all the Libet experiments very carefully, and we find that you get a readiness potential even in the absence of a motor act, like doing this versus that, if a person expects something to happen. So my own guess is that the readiness potential is tied up with expectation or anticipation that something is about to happen.
Perhaps. So, in fact, at the moment, it's very difficult to know the exact way of, how it works exactly.
The experiment is over. My mind is no longer the controller. Rather, it's firmly seated in my conscious brain, guiding and responding to whispers from my subconscious. Right. I'm hungry. I need some food.
If you assume, there's only natural things in nature and there's nothing supernatural, well, events in the brain, including those events that lead to your conscious deliberations, have to have preceding events that perhaps were not conscious. But that doesn't mean that those events are causal.
But probably we can say that a lot of our decisions, even not all our decisions, are the result of a prior brain activity. And as an example, there is an elegant study by the team of John Dylan Haynes, who showed that by using neuroimaging measurements with MRI scanner, you can actually predict what will be the decision of participants before they are actually conscious of having taken that decision.
This begs the question, how can we have free will if our unconscious brain is making decisions before we do?
Oh, okay. So let me get to the issue of the unconscious. So I don't deny that unconscious processes affect the decisions that we make.
But the unconscious is not unintelligent. The unconscious guides us in ways which is itself responsive to reasons.
Take the following scenario. I'm walking, over 8 months pregnant, hungry and very tired. When I listen into what my subconscious is saying, she's tired and hungry too. Strangely, she wants beans for lunch.
Sometimes we're influenced badly by unconscious reasons, there's no doubt about it, because advertisers do psychological experiments to find what we're sensitive to, and then they set up the environment so we make decisions through unconscious subliminal influences.
We know there's lots of examples of priming.
Even if we start from the kind of everyday, which baked beans do I choose in the supermarket, it's sort of quite easy to get from there to a genuine worry about whether you really made that choice freely when you pick the Heinz versus the own brand or whatever it is.
Fine, no beans then. Or am I just saying that because I feel my subconscious has been duped?
That might be a problem, but then that happens with conscious decision making too. People lie to us.
Once you start sort of pushing the boundaries of manipulation, it starts to be a really hard question. When are we sufficiently in control and when aren't we?
How can we step outside that and get outside those influences, or can we even?
Yeah, no, we we can't. I mean, the best we can do is, because we're human beings and we're incredibly clever, we're able to reflect on all of this stuff, right? So we're not just kind of following impulse.
May I add something?
Okay, go ahead, sure.
So we have to make a distinction between picking and choosing, or proximal acts of choosing and distal acts of choosing.
That is, decisions that require less effort, like picking oranges in the supermarket, are easily done by our subconscious, while our conscious mind can focus on more complex tasks, like whether to accept a job offer, or what to cook for a dinner party, and who to invite.
I think a lot of our decision making is playing out in this internal virtual reality of our imagination. And we spend about half of our waking day there imagining this versus that. And some of those imaginings or deliberations are not terribly consequential, like whom to invite for dinner. Others are very consequential, like whom should I marry? Or what country should I live in? And I want to argue that our internal virtual reality of our imagination is where free will is really active. It's not picking, as in the Libet task. It's really an issue of choosing consequential decisions.
Right, I'm still hungry. I'm back at the beans. But I'll take some time to avoid any unconscious bean-based biases I may have and deliberate on which to buy.
If you want to call free will just our capacity to make intelligent decisions, which is hugely impressive, then I have no problem with that. In that case, you'd want to say, we have lots of free will, other animals have some.
Even a tiger can weigh its options. So we have this sort of first order deliberation in common with a tiger. However, in addition, humans have this sort of higher level or second order capacity to deliberate, namely to deliberate about our own future self.
And here's the strange thing. I felt much freer randomly clicking buttons for the Libet test than I did when I started to overthink which can of beans to buy, or certainly any of the big life stuff, where all sorts of constraints are put upon the possible choices I can make.
But within your constraints, you have a degree of freedom. What does that mean? We do have some freedom to act within the parameters given to us by nature and by our society, and then those parameters that we set for ourselves, like deciding to learn a new language, or to go to the gym, or even to become a better person.
So do we have free will? Well, it depends on what you choose to call free will. If you want it to be your mind acting independent of your body, neuroscience says probably not. If you want your conscious self to be totally in control, again, probably not. But if you choose to locate free will in our conscious thought, then probably yes. Ironically, whether you choose to believe in free will or not, is a question of choice.
When we spoke on the phone, you said you weren't sure about free will, and now you're saying you don't think we have it.
Yeah, because I'm just waiting for additional scientific evidence. It's just that at the moment, with what we know, it's hard to really believe in free will. But perhaps somebody, no matter the field in neuroscience, neurobiology, or physics, will find a new experiment in order to show
why
that
did you
we
say
have free will
physics?
or not.
She's talking about me, because even though that lady that took part in that experiment is questioning, do we have free will, and looking for more evidence, well, the evidence is right here in this workshop. And so I want you to see that, because I want you to see both sides of the coin, where you see an experiment taking place and people, real scientists, neuroscientists, kind of debating back and forth whether we have free will or do we don't. And the reason why this comes up is because we know that in the brain, we receive information that we are not perceiving in real time. It comes to us, and then up to 7 seconds later, we actually then perceive the information and act on it. In other words, if I'm getting ready to do something with my next slide, my brain has already processed and gone to that next slide. And then that's happened up to 7 seconds before I even got to lift my hand up and press the button to go to the next slide, before I'm actually aware that I'm on that slide, right? To go over my talking points. They did an experiment where they put people in different rooms, and they put an EEG on their heads connected to a computer to pick up their brain activity. And they were showing them images on the screen. And these images were images of a woman, breastfeeding a baby, a field of roses and flowers, a person getting killed, a person getting strangled. So there was this varying array of images that would trigger different types of emotional responses that they wanted to be able to track on computers and map out these emotions in human brains across a test study of people. The images were shown 10 seconds apart. And in each case study, the next image that was going to appear on the screen was transmitted via the mind to the computer, whether it's going to be a horrific scene or tranquil scene or peaceful scene or whatever, a happy scene, up to 7 seconds before the image showed up on the screen. Up to 7 seconds. Scientists have now replicated this type of experiment in many different ways, and it happens the same way every time. There's a delay in the time that we actually experience what has already happened. To us, we think it's happening in real time. If I tell you to pick up your cell phone and you pick it up, you think you picked it up in real time. In actuality, that happened up to 7 seconds ago. Hard to wrap your mind around that. And so the argument is, well, if I picked it up 7 seconds ago and I wasn't completely aware that I was going to pick it up, how do I have free will? I'm going to give you the answer to this question. This is a pretty powerful code to know how to unlock in the human mind. This is the code of learning how to rise up and surf the ocean of the universal consciousness instead of standing in the water and waiting to get a wave from consciousness splashed over your head. And what I mean by that is this: the average person is standing on a shoreline, okay? They're standing on a shoreline in the universe, living their life, right? And as they're standing in the water, about waist deep or so, living their life, the water is the universe, everything that happens, everything through life. As they're standing there, though, what's beginning to happen is this: waves begin to crash over them. See? You see the people standing there at the shore, and these waves are just crashing over them? If you can imagine that those waves are moment by moment reality, you will begin to realize that when most people only know what happens the moment that the wave crashes, right? Most people are only living moment to moment as a wave crashes over them, they're like, oh, this is the moment I'm in now. Oh, this is the next moment I'm in now. Completely oblivious to higher level thinking. Now, what you want to be is a person that is surfing the wave. How do you do that? It's called getting into the flow state. You look at an elite athlete. Let's take Michael Jordan for example. Michael Jordan, arguably one of the greatest athletes of all time, arguably. He gets into a flow state where he gets into the flow and the game slows down. He's not the only superstar athlete that has ever said this. When you get into a flow state, time changes for you versus what you're experiencing and the other person's experiencing. The players on the court are not moving at his speed from his perception. That's why he was able to maneuver in the air through 4 and 5 people and then make these incredible, scoring baskets. And nobody could touch him. You literally had to grab the guy and toss him out of the air to stop him. That's how bad it was. He was embarrassing the NBA. But time would slow down for him because he wasn't, the other players were waiting for the wave to crash over them. Oh, there's a ball moving. Let me try to get it. Oh, I got the ball in my hand now. Let me shoot it. He was at another level to where he was actually surfing the wave. So when you're waiting for the wave to crash, that's the point where you're in the up to 7-second mindset. But through dedication, meditation, self-awareness, awareness of higher dimensions and your multi-dimensional abilities, you then are closer to real-time information. You're not at direct real time, but you're much closer. Imagine if you can shorten that time period of up to 7 seconds and get it down to 2.5 or 3 seconds. Imagine if I was in a foot race with Usain Bolt, at one time the world's fastest human being, and imagine that you beat him or I beat him by 3 seconds. In a foot race, 3 seconds is like a million miles. If you beat somebody by 3 seconds, like you seriously demolish them in a foot race. Imagine now from a spiritual aspect that you're not in that 7-second mode anymore. You've now ascended to a higher level of understanding, and now you're surfing the wave. And now what's happening is you're closer to real-time information because your mind is surfing on the universal energy instead of waiting for it to crash over you and tell you what moment you happen to be in at that second or at that moment in time. This is the difference between pivoting at the right time and making moves and tapping into your higher intuition. This is what we're talking about. Your intuition is high when you're surfing, and your intuition is low when you're waiting for the wave to crash over you. Some people operate at a high intuition all the time. They always seem to be making the right moves. They always seem to be making the right decisions. They always seem to be getting out of the way out of harm's way. You know, there's been airplanes that I was going to get on that I walked out of the airport and later found out that the airplane had a mechanical problem. There's been all kind of crazy situations like that. Places that I was supposed to go where I get off at the wrong exit and decide, you know what, I'm not going to go this way anymore. I'm going to change up the whole thing. And then I look on the my maps, Google Maps, and it's telling me that that area I was going to go into has a complete solid red line. A major accident happened over there. See? Or I go to the mall and I know, like, this is Memorial Weekend. I need to pick up a couple things this weekend because I'm going to go somewhere on Sunday. I'm not going to leave my house and drive to the mall and try to find a parking spot. I'm going to pre-envision my parking spot before I leave the house to go to the mall. I'm going to call my parking spot into existence so that when I get to the mall, a spot opens up for me within minutes instead of me driving around for 35, 40 minutes. If I'm in a busy, crowded city in a downtown area, which happens a lot, and I've got to take an elevator up to all these floors and so forth, and the elevator's full of people, and you got to keep waiting for elevators. I don't keep waiting for elevators. When I'm on my way to the elevator, I'm calling the elevator. I'm calling the elevator. You understand? This is surfing, not waiting for the splash. The average person, they'll go to the mall and drive around for an hour and get into road rage because they finally saw a spot and somebody pulled into it and they couldn't get in it fast enough. So now there's road rage going on. That's the 7-second mindset. Me, I pull into the parking lot, I maneuver a couple minutes and boom, a spot back, they back out, I pull right in, or I pull into it and there's a spot waiting for me already in a busy, crowded, overcrowded mall. I walk towards the elevator. Before I can press the up or down button, the elevator's bing, it's opening. This is the power that you can walk in. This is the level of power that's inside of you. And it seems corny and weird and quirky and dumb to a lot of people. But all I tell you is this, try it. Try it with confidence, because as soon as you let a little bit of fear slip in, it's over. You got to believe it. You have to believe it. If you have any kind of hobby, if you have any kind of thing that you're a specialist at, you're an expert in something, you know when you get into that flow state in that particular thing. It's a meditation. Playing sports at a high level is a meditation. You know, if you're a hobbyist of any type, that's a form of meditation. Exercise is a meditation. All of these things are meditations. When you get into the flow state and you're operating at a high level within that meditation, that's when you're surfing. So you can understand the difference between the 7-second mind state and the 3-second mind state. That's how you know the difference. Let's get back into this. Before we get back into this, let me check back in the chat again. Let me see if you guys are following me here. All right. Okay. You guys are getting it. This is good stuff. All right, good. Just got to check on y'all from time to time. Until I get my real-time chat working, I have to go back and forth. The real-time chat software is being installed so I can see it as I'm talking. That'll take a few more weeks. I just like to keep checking on you guys to make sure everything is all right. Let's get back into this. I showed you the wave crashing. I showed you how to surf on the wave. I'm surfing nonstop. I surf the wave. I'm not, I was before, I was a person that was waiting for the wave to crash, right? But I began to realize, I began to internalize. I took a journey to inner space. I began to connect to, not connect, but realize the connection, my connection to higher dimensional thinking, to multidimensional thinking. I began to see the world from a multidimensional perspective. And once that happened, the universe opened up for me. It's almost like whatever you want to do, man, do it. It's yours. Because I'm operating from that frequency of power, understanding, and I'm really believing in the power, not just hoping and guessing I have the power. Every room I walk into the room with power. If I'm walking through the airport, I'm walking through the airport with power. If I'm anywhere I go, if I'm in a grocery store, when I walk into a room, I expect people to feel my energy. I expect people to know I have arrived in the location on site. I expect people to be in awe. Not that I'm saying that I'm better than them, but my energy has now entangled with their energy and it's lifting them up. If I walk into a room of negative people, I expect them to come raise up a little higher than what they were before I entered the room. I want my energy to be so strong that their low energy frequency can't pull me down. I can only raise them up. That's the power that I'm walking in. Any problem that arises, I come with a solution or I find a solution. I never go to victim mentality. That's the 7-second mindset. I never go to, oh man, I knew this was going to happen. I have a trip that I'm going on tomorrow a big trip, and I need to take a few days, with the family. And we have a few friends of the family that are attending as well. And one of the friends of the family, sent a message, a little concerned about the weather situation. And I could tell he was kind of testing my consciousness to see, like, do I think it's going to be okay or it's going to be bad weather? And I said, man, regardless of what happens, we're going to have a great time. We're going to have a phenomenal time. And if it does rain, it's going to be a passing storm that flies over us. It'll rain for a time and we'll be good to go. We're going to enjoy every moment. You see the mindset? I'm setting the intention before I arrive. I'm commanding existence. I'm commanding things into existence. This is the power that's inside of every one of us. I want to take a quick break for one of our sponsors. I'm going to talk a little bit about financial literacy at the end of this as well, but I'm taking a quick break for one of our sponsors, credcomanagement.com. Use this QR code. One of the most important things that we need to be aware of right now as part of our Supermind Code is financial literacy. Because without the financial literacy, we can't utilize some of the knowledge that we're gaining even today. Some of the stuff I'm going to teach you today can't be applied unless you have some financial literacy. The thing I like about credcomanagement.com is I'm a customer of theirs. I've used them personally. So has my son, Justin. Justin, around maybe 4 months ago, had about a 525 credit score. Now he has a 780 because of credcomanagement.com. And he's made some videos that have been posted online. I wanted to post one yesterday, but I lost access to my social media because I switched phones and I couldn't log back in again, but I'm back now. But I want you guys to go to credcomanagement.com or use this QR code and request a consultation. Fill out the form, get a consultation. Okay? Let them know that Forbidden Knowledge sent you. This company is going to help you get your credit straightened out. Don't think that we're in this matrix and we don't have to play by some of the rules. If you think, oh, I'm a spiritual being, forget this and forget that, then what are you doing for your prosperity? What are you doing for your legacy? That's a selfish mindset. In order to navigate this matrix the right way, in order to leverage monetary income, in order to leverage capital that you can actually get and invest, you need good credit. Otherwise, you get the worst rates, the worst opportunities, in some cases, no opportunities whatsoever. Sometimes you can't even get a nice apartment because your credit's no good. You got your kids raising your kids in a slum, not because you can't afford a nicer place, but because your credit is horrible. We got to get ourselves straightened out. And I'm telling you right now, I want you guys to go to credcomanagement.com, use that QR code, request a consultation, a free consultation, have them review all your stuff. Once you get your credit straightened out, he also has a program that will get you lines of credit that you can utilize to invest into your own self, your own business, your own projects, real estate, whatever you want. My son just went through that complete process and got approved for several lines of credit. I think he got like $30,000 or $40,000 line of credit that you can now use to invest into his clothing line that he's launching. 4 months ago, he couldn't even get a nice apartment. 4 months later, he's building his own clothing line by leveraging his excellent credit against a line of credit to build a business that's going to generate income for him. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of you are sitting over here with some of the most incredible talents that you've put under a rock. And the thing that's holding you from expanding on those talents is finances, because it takes money to make money. I want you to contact Jason at credcomanagement.com. Tell him Billy sent you from Forbidden Knowledge. And I want you guys to start working on getting your stuff straightened out. Stop maneuvering through this matrix half-assed. Stop playing the wrong game. Start playing the right game. They left the Easter eggs for us. They left the clues, the secret loopholes to sneak through and squeeze through. One of them is this: getting this straightened out, getting some lines of credit, and investing in yourself. Either investing into a business or making some investments into, whether it's crypto, whether it's stock market, whatever it is, whether it's startup corporations, whatever it is. Stop playing the game wrong. Get straightened out so you can alleviate financial pressure. Because one of the biggest problems with people learning how to really tap into their own spirituality and their self-knowledge is the fact that they're totally distracted by all the expenses, bills, responsibilities that they are struggling to keep up. Most of the people don't even have a passive income. And because of that, you spend most of your time trying to figure out how to maintain status quo, leaving you almost zero energy and zero time to work on yourself. You see me? I can take 2 months off if I want to. I work like this because I love this. But if I decide, like I did this upcoming week, I need to take 4 days off just to detox my brain. We said, yes, let's take the 4 days. I just up and take the 4 days. I don't have a boss to call. I'm not going to call in anybody and say, hey, guys, I can't come in today. And if I don't work those 4 days, I'm not worried about my bills not getting paid because I have passive income. While I'm talking to you now, I have money being generated in 10 different areas, in 10 different businesses. It all starts with this one move. The first thing you have to do is get your credit looked at, evaluated, straightened out. Because even if your credit has a decent score, you still might not get approved for things. You say, why am I not getting approved? Too many inquiries, too much debt to income ratio. You need to have a complete evaluation, get a free consultation, leverage your credit, invest in yourself, and build a legacy. All right. So go to creditcodemanagement.com ASAP. While you're doing that, make sure you get yourself a business bank account. Manage your use of credit cards and lines of credit properly. Choose suppliers and lenders who submit your payment activity to the credit agency so that you're not spinning your wheels. You want to also get a business credit card or bank line of credit, which Jason can help you do that at creditcodemanagement.com. Pay your bills on time or pay them early. I like to pay my bills early. If your credit card, like my American Express cards, have a setting where I can pay weekly, I don't pay my cards monthly. I pay my cards weekly. Every week, it's on automatic deduction coming out of my account. Every single week, the American Express card, I have 4 of them, are all paid once a week on time, ahead of time. And regularly check your credit report for any reports and errors. There's some things you may think your credit report looks good, and you don't talk to Jason. Jason will show you where you think it looks great, but this is why you can't get this. This is why you can't get that. You know, I had somebody who was like, I got a 750 score, but I can't get approved for this Mercedes. Well, you're not going to get approved for the Mercedes because your score is based on 3-year-old credit. That's excellent, but the high limit is only like $8,000. You've been paying on these cards and you've been doing a great job keeping your debt to income ratio low, but you have no car credit. You have no installment line. So how are you going to get approved for a $130,000, $140,000 car? You see, you thought you had good credit, and you do, but you don't have good enough credit type to get this type of thing. So Jason can walk you through all of this knowledge and break it down for you and show you how to get what you want, whether it's a house, a car, whatever it is, build a business, whatever it is. But again, it all starts with you contacting creditcodemanagement.com. Another thing I want you guys to contact is arccrypto.io/Billy Carson. Scan that code. ARC is a great company. I've been with them. I was live with Govind Sarial last night, the president of ARC. I started off with around, I don't know, $7,000 or $8,000. And I've built that up significantly now. I'm in the hundreds of thousands, but it took me some time, some effort, some energy. And you can do, I can't tell you what you can do, but if you get with them and it resonates with you, you can invest with them, and they'll show you how to build and become your own bank. This company allowed me finally to become my own bank. And as I became my own bank, I've now been able to see the rewards of how banks make money. Every time you put your money in the bank, they sweep your money out overnight and they invest it. And in the morning, they put it back before you wake up. But they take the profits off the top and give you back your exact amount. At the end of the year, if you keep all your money in there, you might get 50 cents or $1 in interest payment. Meanwhile, they've made hundreds of thousands of dollars off of your money, right, all year long. So there's a way to do the same thing. And what's incredible about the way that I'm investing in crypto, I'm not buying coins like somebody, oh, I got five Bitcoins, I got 10 Ethereum. No, I don't do it like that. That's not how I operate. It's a totally different way of investing in crypto that you've never seen before. So I suggest you get a consultation by going to that QR code, filling out a simple form. They'll contact you, give you a consultation, and show you how you can earn a passive income and keep your current day job and begin to make money on the side and earn something that may potentially even replace your current job. Like some of the people that are working with Gavin right now, like Matt. Matt is an incredible guy. He's Matthew Egan. He's got a black card from Forbidden Knowledge, but he's now full-time with ARC because he's replaced any other income that he needed to generate for himself. So it can be done. It can be done. Scan that code and make sure you guys get a free consultation there. All right, back to work now. All right, back to work. We're going to get into some of the codes now. I'm going to get you into some of these codes. All right. Now, this one is incredible. The mind has incredible plasticity, meaning it can adapt and change through our lives. All right. And so this is important because we're talking about the mind multiplied by plasticity equals adaptation and equals change. That's why you see the M multiplied by P equals A, comma, C. This is a real Supermind code. Neuroplasticity allows the brain to recognize or reorganize its structure, function, and connections in response to learning, experience, and environmental changes. I'm going to stop right there for a second. This is really key and important because, for example, when I was going to see Dr. Ahmed and I had the brain injury, I'll be honest, I was a little nervous at first going in there because I had learned my whole life growing up that the brain was, the way it was going to be. And if you damage brain cells, they can never grow back. And I was like, this is interesting. Now, when I took those classes at MIT for neuroscience, and I learned that, the brain can reorganize and it can make new neural connections, but I never really correlated that to like curing an injured brain. Like I didn't envision that. I just saw new connections maybe sprouting and new connections within the brain and allows you to, try to regain some function. But I never really thought you can completely heal the brain the way that I learned from Dr. Ahmed. It's an incredible thing. Neuroplasticity is a real thing. And the evidence of it is if you go watch Scan My Brain, you'll see my before and after brain scans, you'll see that my brain looks completely different on the second scan, which was only 9 or 9.5 months later. After doing the regimen of work that I was given by Dr. Ahmed, which was brain supplements, a specific type of exercise that he gave me to do, brain exercises, and a special type of a diet dealing with caffeine and no caffeine. And my brain in less than a year completely transformed. And it's still transforming at the exact moment because I'm still doing those same exact things. If I go back for a third scan next year, it'll be completely different again, probably even more healthy. You see, so it's incredible that the brain has that capability. The brain has the ability to change. And if you ever heard that the brain, once it's damaged, is permanently damaged, that's a farce. That's a lie. Neuroplasticity is not limited to specific developmental periods or restricted to certain areas of the brain. While it is more pronounced during childhood when the brain is rapidly developing, research has shown that neuroplasticity continues throughout adulthood. This means that our brains can continue to learn, adapt, and change in response to experiences and new information, regardless of age. So no, you can't. It's not, I'm too old for, no, you're not too old. Age doesn't matter in this particular case. If you do what it takes, if you follow the path, if you do the regimens, you can make the adjustments to your brain. And I'm going to tell you what those are in a second. Various factors can influence neuroplasticity, such as learning, practice, environmental enrichment, physical exercise, and even mental stimulation. By engaging in activities that challenge and stimulate the brain, we can enhance neuroplasticity and promote ongoing cognitive development. Understanding the incredible plasticity of the mind highlights the potential for growth, learning, and personal development through our lives. It also underscores the importance of creating enriching environments and engaging in activities that nurture, support brain health. I'm going to give you the trick to this code. The trick to this code is this. The first thing you need to do is get healthy brain supplements. And these are all natural supplements. These are not drugs. These are not pharmaceuticals. Healthy brain supplements. I'm going to tell you right now, Google Almond Clinics, all right? And you go to his website and you simply go to his multi-brain packets that he has there. They have all the supplements there for your brain. Just get on that. Take a packet of those every single day. I think there's 4 or 5 supplements in each bag. These are little tiny travel bags. Comes in a big box. Take those. All right, that's number 1. What I'll do too is I'll email everyone from this workshop a recap of this workshop. In that email, there'll be a link directly to the exact supplement because he does have quite a few on his website. So I'll send you the exact link in the actual email that's going to go out shortly after I end this video tonight, okay? The second thing you need to do is you need to take up table tennis, and you need to take up table tennis with left hand and right hand. You can also do tennis. If you want to do regular tennis, you can do pickleball, but you need to do it with left hand and right hand motions. You have to take it seriously. This is going to exercise both sides of the brain, and it's going to increase blood flow to any damaged parts of the brain that you may or may not even be aware of, okay? I also recommend, if you can get a basketball up over your head and you can actually shoot it, start shooting the basketball left-handed, start shooting the basketball right-handed, just close into the basket. No long jump shots, just get close into the basket and just start shooting left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, right over the front of the rim, okay? Start practicing simple things. I know this sounds silly, rubbing your stomach and patting your head, right? Rubbing your stomach and patting your head. Do this for about 5 minutes straight, okay? And then you switch hands, rubbing your stomach and patting your head. This is increasing blood flow. Now, don't pat your head too hard. You'll beat yourself up. Take a pen, start writing your name left-handed, start writing your name right-handed, start writing your name left-handed, start writing your name left-handed, start doing your ABCs left-handed, start doing your ABCs right-handed. Both, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Spend some time doing this. Do crossword puzzles. Crossword puzzles also is a brain exercise. It's going to increase blood flow to the brain, right? And then don't drink caffeine at night. One of my biggest mistakes that I was doing, it restricts blood flow to the brain. Drink 2 cups of coffee in the morning. And at night, if you want a cup of coffee, drink decaf. No coffee after 5 p.m. No coffee within 4 hours of going to sleep. No caffeinated coffee. No caffeine at all of any type. Okay? And if you do those things that I just mentioned, you're going to find out that M times P equals A comma C. And you're going to tap into neuroplasticity, and you're going to begin to reconnect areas of your brain that may have been dormant for some time. You're going to find that you have new abilities, things you didn't even realize. Your intuition is going to be increased. Your sensory perception is going to be increased. You're going to be like, damn, I'm seeing better and hearing better all of a sudden. I'm sensing things now. My intuition is higher. My navigation capabilities are increasing. My ability to control my anger and outbursts is much better now. My impulses are better. I'm not as impulsive as I used to be. Those are all things that are results of brain injury. See? My OCD is getting better. These are all parts of the brain that aren't getting enough blood, oxygen-rich blood. And what I just taught you in just a few minutes of that one little part of this workshop can change your life forever, because it did change mine. I can now drive and know where I'm going. I can come out of elevators and know which direction to walk. I can remember where I parked my car at the shopping mall and the airport. These things are important. I don't get lost in my neighborhood or my house anymore. It'll change your life, all right? It'll change your life. Let me check on you guys again in the chat real quick. 620 comments. Mushroom coffee is good, Brianna. Dr. Amen, A-M-E-N. Jody, the name of the clinic is Amen, A-M-E-N. His name is Dr. Daniel Amen, A-M-E-N. Look for Amen Clinics, A-M-E-N Clinics. They're all over the United States. He's incredible. Michelle, yes, you can use pool. You can use a pool table as well, Michelle, not just table tennis. Use your left hand pool and stick, and use it right-handed as well. Amen Clinics, A-M-E-N, Amen Clinics. I'm going to send you guys all an email with the link to Amen Clinics, and don't forget about credcomanagement.com. Credco Management, not credco.com, but credcomanagement.com. All right? And you'll be able to rewind this as well. And I'm going to send you guys all a link to this as well. You'll have the link to the things that I'm talking about today. Excuse me. Here's another code. We're going to talk about how our minds have the ability to learn and acquire new knowledge and skills. A lot of us know that we have that ability, but we say it's too hard. And the reason why we think it's hard is because we're not tapping in. We don't understand the code that allows us to tap in and make it easy again. When you're a kid, it seems like it's so easy to learn a second language. When you get older, it's like, man, I can't seem to grasp this. That's only because you're more full. You're more full of things that have to go on. You're more full of thoughts that are, when you're a kid, there's not a lot of thoughts in there. The older you get, the more thoughts you have, the more responsibilities you have, the more thoughts you have, the more things you're juggling simultaneously. I mean, a kid is not juggling work, a relationship, taking care of kids, taking care of an elder family member, paying rents and mortgages and car payments and tuition fees and savings accounts and stock market and blah, 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 blah. I can go on and on and on. A kid is just being a kid. Wake up, eat some breakfast, go to school, come home, watch cartoons. There's not a lot going on up there. So you start putting in some knowledge like a second language or some other type of skill or hobby, they pick it up real easy and fast. The brain is a sponge. There's not a lot of distractions going on, you see? M times A equals K comma S. And what are we talking about? The mind multiplied by ability gives you the knowledge and skills you need to excel in this world. Learning involves the acquisition of information, understanding concepts, and developing new skills or abilities. It can occur through various processes such as observation, experience, study, practice, and instruction. The brain's remarkable capacity for learning allows us to continually expand our understanding of the world, develop competencies, and adapt to changing circumstances. When we learn something new, our brain undergoes physical changes through the process of neuroplasticity. And to tell you what that is real quick, what you're learning today from this class has created new wrinkles in your brain, okay? Your brain literally has more wrinkles. Those overlapping folds inside the brain, when you see a brain on a scan, those overlapping folds, that's all knowledge. And what you're learning today is causing your brain to create more folds right now. You're creating more folds. And the more folds you have, the more information you're storing in your brain. Isn't that amazing? It's a physical change. It's not just a mental change. It's not a hypothetical change. It's not a multidimensional change only. It's a physical change. The physical brain itself, the physical matter of the brain, the brain matter, is actually morphing and changing as you gain knowledge. Neural connections and pathways are formed, strengthened, and modified, allowing us to retain and apply knowledge or skills we've acquired. The more we engage in learning activities, the more efficient and robust these connections become. The biggest problem we have right now with people needing to learn new skills is impatience. There's no patience. They want instant gratification. Everybody wants to know everything like this. They don't want to be an expert. They just want to get by. It's too hard to learn this stuff. I can't grasp it. Meanwhile, the world is moving at this speed, right? We have AI. We have robots being developed by Boston Dynamics that are going to have AI inside of them. We have all these new systems being put into place that are going to take away millions of people's jobs. Millions of people's jobs are getting ready to be wiped out forever. Like they're never coming back. They're never coming back. So what does that mean? You need this code. Everyone needs this code, because if you don't know this code, if you don't know how to enable and enact this code, then guess what? You're going to get left behind. Because I guarantee you one thing, the state of the society we live in today, when these jobs get taken away, your bills aren't going to be taken away. The job will be gone, but your responsibilities will stay the same. This is going to create a huge gap. Lower class, upper class, no middle class. Middle class will be gone. Middle class will be gone within the next 15 years. It won't even exist. It won't even exist. What's going to separate you from the bottom to the top? Can you pivot? Can you pivot? Are you ready to learn something new? My sister is a 4-time world champion bodybuilder. She's been doing this now for 13, 14 years. She's getting older now, right? She just had another birthday. I think she's 47 now or something. And so she's approaching 50 years old soon, right? I mean, still looks great, still can compete with the best of them. At the same time, what else can you do? It's hard to continue to compete against 20-year-olds all the time. She went and took a class in coding. She became a coder. She took the class and graduated from the class and then invented a new type of a mobile app that has to do with mental health in relationships. She pivoted. Why was she able to do that and other people weren't? Because they get completely comfortable with the status quo. They become comfortable. When you become comfortable, that's when you're in trouble. When you become completely comfortable with where you are, knowing that the world's evolving like this, don't expect to be up here, because you're going to definitely be at the bottom. You have to learn how to pivot, and pivoting requires the ability to learn and acquire new skills. It takes dedication. It takes commitment. You're going to have to get up off your butt, and you're going to have to learn something. You're going to have to dedicate time. So you don't have a lot of time. You got 24 hours in a day. And most people like to sleep 8 hours, which 6 is good enough for me. I mean, that's my max. I can't go more than 6. I feel guilty anything more than 6. But you sleep 8 hours. Then you eat breakfast, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Then you got to drive an hour and a half, 2 to work. Then you got to work another 8 hours. Then you got another hour or so coming home. Then you got dinner, another hour. Then you got to sit down and watch your favorite TV show for another hour or 2. The next thing you know, you kiss the baby and you lay down and do it all over again. You have to take time out. You have to carve out time and make it a priority. Put it on a calendar. Whatever it is on that calendar that's on my calendar, whatever on my calendar, I get it done. My exercise is on the calendar. My meditation is on the calendar. Everything that's important is on the calendar. It's carved out It's mandatory part of my day. I can't get around it. Make it a priority. Put it on your calendar and make it happen. Whatever it is that you need to pivot to, whatever it is you need to learn, whatever it is you need to become an expert at, if it's something that you're passionate about and you're not an expert, you need to become an expert at it if you want to monetize it. If you're not an expert at it, why monetize something that you're not an expert at? You're not going to be able to beat your competition or at least match them. This right here is one that a lot of people struggle with because they aren't aware that they're self-sabotaging themselves because they're not living to full potential because they're comfortable. They're in a comfort zone. You have to get out of that comfort zone and be ready to make a change in your life by acquiring new knowledge and new skills, or you will, I guarantee you, you will be left behind. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Second here. Also on this, it's important to know that effective learning often involves active engagement in practice. Simply receiving information passively may not lead to optimal learning outcomes. By actively participating in the learning process, such as through problem solving, critical thinking, and hands-on activities, we can enhance our understanding and retention of the material. So whatever it is you're pivoting to, whatever it is you're trying to learn or acquire, knowledge you're trying to acquire, actually go out and do it. Do it extensively and consistently, and you will begin to develop that skill and that talent and have the knowledge for that, and it will become very, very good. You'll become an expert at it. In summary, our minds possess the incredible capacity to learn and acquire new knowledge and skills. By nurturing a mindset of lifelong learning and engaging in purposeful educational experiences, we can continuously expand our horizons and reach our full intellectual potential. New code. I'm going to do this code, then I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break to use the restroom and come right back. M multiplied by I equals N dash I, comma, C. The mind can create and imagine new ideas and concepts, right? So when you take the mind and you multiply it by imagination, which is the most incredible thing that we have, imagination. I could talk for years about imagination. Imagination is why I'm here. I've been wanting to do this for so long. I imagined that I would be doing this, and I'm doing it. But the imagination came first. Every time that I was able to create something in my life, it all started with imagination. My money doesn't come from me working. Working doesn't create money. Money is just an instrument. It's a connection to an energy exchange. My income that comes in, it came from my imagination. The imagination, the side effect of my imagination, I should say, is income. And so is yours. So you multiply the imagination, the mind multiplied by the imagination equals new ideas and concepts. The mind multiplied by imagination equals new ideas and concepts. The imagination is the key. You see, this is why when kids go to school, when you're born, heck, by the time you come out of the womb, you're completely restricted. Now, I know you have to make sure a kid doesn't put their finger in a electric socket, and you got to make sure they don't do things that's going to injure them, like run down a staircase. But we put a lot of restrictions on our kids. Sometimes some people I've seen don't even let their kids get dirty. I have a neighbor that has a young kid, and they ripped out about an acre of their grass in the backyard and put down artificial turf. So the kid never even touches the actual ground, which means the kid's not even getting grounded. The kid's just playing on artificial turf, which is plastic. Okay? We restrict our kids. We don't want them to get dirty. We don't want them to do this. We want them to do that. Then they get to school and they're robbed of all their creativity. Their imagination is stolen from them. And they're forced to live like prisoners that are being guarded by COs at a prison. Each classroom is like a prison block. We snatch their imagination from them and restrict them. So over time, it becomes more dull and more dull and more dull till it almost disappears. Then we become completely oblivious to our imagination. The imagination then becomes a future dream. Oh, I wish I can do. One day I might be able to go. You've been hacked and robbed. That's what happened to you. You got mind hacked and robbed. They robbed you of your imagination. When you're living in your imagination and you activate it, then and only then can you begin to create new ideas and new concepts. See? Let's talk a little bit about the process. You want to create something. You want to bring something into existence. Like this cup. This cup started off in the multi-dimensional platform, the original platform, floating around in the multi-dimensional time space while I thought about it. If I was the inventor of this cup. So here's the cup. It's in the multi-dimensional space as I'm imagining what a cup would look like, this type, what this mug would look like, how the handle would be, the weight of it, how somebody can grasp it, how comfortable will it be on fingers, depending on the way that they hold it. There's all different types of holding modes to hold a mug like this, right? What's the size of the circumference of the base versus the circumference of the lip, right? What type of material will it be made out of, right? What elements am I going to use in this thing? So once I come with all this imagination about this mug, the next thing I do is I take it from the multi-dimensional platform, which is up to 11 dimensions that we learned earlier today, and I collapse it into 2 dimensions by drawing it on a piece of paper. I then take that drawing and I now get it into a CAD, a computer-assisted design program now in modern times, a CAD design, which is still 2-dimensional, but it looks and appears 3D, so I can move it around and see how it's going to look in real life. I can see a rendered version of it, right? Then what happens? I give that CAD, that CAD design data to an engineer who then manipulates atoms and creates the actual mug in the 3rd dimension so I can actually pick it up and maneuver it on an XYZ axis through space-time and make it a functional thing in 3-dimensional reality. That's how this mug came into existence. Everything that exists came into existence in that same exact way. This cognitive process is known as creativity and plays a vital role in various aspects of human life, including art, science, problem solving, innovation, and more. When we engage in creative thinking, our minds have the capacity to combine existing knowledge, experiences, and information in unique and original ways. This process allows us to generate ideas, envision possibilities, and create mental representations of concepts that then do not exist in reality. This didn't exist yet until it collapsed into a 2-dimensional object, which then popped up through engineering into a 3-dimensional world. Creativity involves divergent thinking, which is the ability to explore multiple perspectives, make new connections, and consider alternative solutions. It often requires breaking away from conventional patterns of thought and embracing a mindset that welcomes exploration and experimentation and open-ended possibilities. That's how we manifest our reality into existence. It's all through your imagination. Okay? Let me take off this freeze here. Hold on a second. I'm frozen. Every time I move around a little bit too much, I kind of freeze a little bit. I think my camera's overheating. But let me check the chat again real quick and see if you guys at least heard my voice before I froze a little bit there. Let me know in the chat. My screen froze, but did you hear my voice? Okay. My screen froze, but did you hear my voice? Let me know in the chat if you were able to hear my voice, or I'll go over that one more time what I was talking about with the mug. Were you able to hear my voice the whole time? Okay, yes, they heard me. Okay, great. Perfect. You were able to hear my voice. And so I'm going to do a slight recap here anyway on that. It's a very brief version again. But what I was saying was this mug started off in the multidimensional platform, 11 dimensions based on thought. Okay. Up here in the multidimensional plane where thought exists, a person thought about this mug, the shape, the size, the feeling, the weight, the handle. And then that collapsed into a two-dimensional object by drawing it on a piece of paper. Then back into a two-dimensional object with a three-dimensional appearance inside of a computer through computer-assisted design. And then from that computer-assisted design, that data is given to an engineer, which then converts it into a three-dimensional object by converting that data into structured atoms that then can be maneuvered in space-time on an XYZ axis, and we call it a mug in the third dimension. Everything is created that way. Everything starts off as imagination, and without imagination, we have nothing here on this planet except for nature. Anything that we want to call man-made, like the clothes on your back, the chair you're sitting in, the device you're looking at to listen to me today, it's all from imagination. It started with